In the rural town of Rojas, Capiz, a sense of unease settled over the residents like a shroud. It was a feeling that had become all too familiar, one that whispered of an ancient evil that lurked in the shadows. They called it the Aswang of Capiz, a creature from Filipino folklore that was said to roam the countryside under the cover of darkness. The legend spoke of a beautiful woman who, by day, was a member of their community, but by night, transformed into a monstrous creature with wings, sharp teeth, and an insatiable hunger for human flesh. The people of Rojas believed that the Aswang was a harbinger of death, a creature that preyed on the weak and the innocent. The story began with a series of disappearances. At first, it was just rumors of people vanishing in the dead of night. But as the days went by, the reality of the situation became clear. Children, elderly women, and even strong young men had all fallen victim to the Aswang's wrath. One stormy night, a group of brave locals decided to investigate the strange occurrences. They gathered at the local tavern, armed with flashlights, clubs, and a determination to put an end to the terror. Their search led them to an abandoned house on the outskirts of town, a place that was said to be the Aswang's lair. As they approached the house, a chill ran down their spines. The wind howled and the trees creaked ominously, as if warning them to turn back. But they pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and curiosity. They entered the house, calling out into the darkness, but there was no response. Suddenly, a faint rustling sound came from upstairs. The group hesitated, wondering if they should investigate further. One of the men, a burly farmer named Juan, decided to take matters into his own hands. He crept up the stairs, his flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. As he reached the top, he saw a figure huddled in the corner of the room. It was a woman, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Juan froze, unsure of what to do next. The woman began to transform before his eyes, her body contorting into grotesque shapes. Her skin turned a sickly green, and her eyes grew larger, taking on a malevolent glow. Juan tried to run, but his feet felt heavy, as if rooted to the spot. The Aswang began to laugh, a sound that sent shivers down Juan's spine. The creature's wings unfolded, casting a dark shadow over the room. As the Aswang descended upon him, Juan realized that he was doomed. The last thing he saw was the creature's face, twisted into a snarl, before everything went black. The next morning, the people of Rojas awoke to find Juan's body lying in the town square. His eyes had been gouged out, and his skin was deathly pale. The Aswang's mark was carved into his forehead, a symbol of the creature's twisted power. The town was thrown into chaos. People fled in terror, abandoning their homes and livelihoods. The local church offered prayers and blessings, but even the power of faith seemed unable to stem the tide of fear. As the days went by, the Aswang's reign of terror continued unabated. More people disappeared, and the bodies of those who had crossed the creature's path were found mutilated and broken. One brave soul, a young woman named Maria, decided to take matters into her own hands. She spent hours researching the Aswang, poring over ancient texts, and seeking out wise men who claimed to know the creature's secrets. Maria discovered that the Aswang was once a human, a woman who had been wronged by the people of Rojas. She had been accused of witchcraft and beaten, left for dead in the woods. But the woman had not died. Instead, she had been transformed by a dark and malevolent force, one that had given her the power to exact revenge on those who had wronged her. Armed with this knowledge, Maria set out to confront the Aswang. She gathered a small group of trusted allies, including a local priest and a few brave townsfolk. Together they marched into the abandoned house, ready to face whatever horrors lay within. As they entered the house, they were met with an eerie silence. The wind had died down, and the trees seemed to be holding their breath. Maria led the group upstairs, her heart pounding in her chest. They found the Aswang waiting for them, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The creature let out a blood-curdling scream as Maria approached. But the young woman stood tall, her voice steady, as she spoke the words of an ancient ritual. The Aswang let out a deafening roar as the ritual took hold. Its body began to contort and twist, its limbs elongating and merging with the shadows. The air was thick with the stench of decay and death. Maria's companions recoiled in horror, but she stood firm, her voice growing louder and more insistent. As the ritual reached its climax, the Aswang let out a deafening shriek, its body bursting into 1,000 shards of darkness. The room was plunged into an inky blackness, and Maria felt herself being lifted off the ground. She was consumed by a vision of the Aswang's past, of the wrongs that had been done to her, of the pain and the suffering that had driven her to seek revenge. Maria felt her heart fill with compassion and sorrow, and she knew that she had to make things right. As the vision faded, Maria found herself back in the room, the Aswang's shards of darkness reforming into a human shape. But this time, it was different. The creature's eyes no longer glowed with malevolence, and its skin was no longer deathly pale. The Aswang spoke in a voice that was barely above a whisper, its words filled with sorrow and regret. "I am sorry for the pain I've caused," it said. "I was consumed by my own darkness, and I did not know how to stop." Maria reached out and took the Aswang's hand, feeling a surge of compassion and forgiveness. "You are forgiven," she said, "but you must promise to never harm anyone again." The Aswang nodded, its eyes filling with tears. "I promise," it said. "I will do everything in my power to make amends for my past wrongs." And with that, the curse of the Aswang of Capiz was lifted. The creature was transformed back into its human form, and it was welcomed back into the community. But the story does not end there. The Aswang's transformation had a profound effect on the town of Rojas. The people began to realize that even the most monstrous of creatures can change and seek redemption. And so, the town of Rojas became a place of healing and forgiveness, where people from all over the Philippines came to seek solace and redemption. The Aswang, once a creature of darkness and fear, became a symbol of hope and transformation. But there are those who say that on certain nights, when the moon is full and the wind is blowing strong, you can still hear the Aswang's wings beating in the darkness, a reminder that even the most powerful of transformations can never fully erase the past.